Crop circles have been a source of fascination and debate for decades. These elaborate and often intricate patterns appear overnight in fields, particularly in crops like wheat and corn. Sometimes they are simple shapes, like perfect circles or triangles. Other times they are incredibly complex, multi-layered geometric formations, spanning hundreds of feet. Farmers and locals who encounter these formations are often left both awestruck and terrified, unable to explain how these patterns emerge in seemingly impossible circumstances. While many crop circles have been identified as hoaxes, some remain unexplained, leaving behind an air of mystery. The phenomenon of crop circles began to attract widespread attention in the late 20th century, particularly in the 1970s and 1980s. Prior to this, crop circles had been relatively unknown, though there were sporadic reports of crop formations going back centuries. The modern wave of crop circles started in the United Kingdom, particularly in areas like southern England. One of the most famous areas for these formations is Wiltshire, where crop circles continue to appear to this day. The designs themselves vary from simple shapes to elaborate, precise geometric patterns. Some circles feature perfect spirals, while others look like sacred geometrical symbols or complex mathematical formulas. Many people have been struck by the intricacy and the symmetry of the designs, leading some to believe that there must be some supernatural or otherworldly force behind their creation. The question that haunts many is, how are they made? In some cases, crop circles have been proven to be the result of hoaxes. In the late 1990s, two men, Doug Bauer and Dave Chorley, admitted to creating many of the crop circles that had previously stumped investigators. They used planks of wood and ropes to flatten the crops in intricate patterns. This revelation was a huge blow to the mystery, but many crop circle enthusiasts insist that the phenomenon is not as simple as a couple of pranksters in the middle of the night. While some crop circles have been shown to be man-made, there are countless others that cannot be easily explained. One of the most famous crop circles discovered in 1996 near Hampshire, England, was a vast formation of interconnected circles and geometric shapes spanning nearly 300 feet in diameter. The precision and complexity of this design left experts from multiple fields, including geometry, physics, and even mathematics, stunned. They could not figure out how such a complex pattern could be created overnight without anyone noticing. The design was not only beautiful but was mathematically precise, with no visible footprints or any sign of human interference. One of the most mysterious aspects of crop circles is the physical evidence left behind. Some formations show signs of unusual energy. The stalks of the crops are often bent at an unusual angle, but they aren't broken. In many cases, the crops remain alive and continue to grow, but they have been bent in a way that suggests something other than human hands was involved. In some cases, the plants appear to have been subjected to high levels of electromagnetic energy, causing them to bend in unnatural ways. Some of the most outlandish theories involve extraterrestrial life. UFO enthusiasts have long claimed that crop circles are messages from alien civilizations trying to communicate with humanity. The idea is that these geometrically perfect formations contain hidden messages or codes that we simply don't understand yet. Some crop circle theorists point to the increasing complexity of the designs over time, arguing that the messages may be evolving or becoming more sophisticated. Supporters of this theory suggest that the creation of these patterns might be an attempt to communicate with human beings on a different level, one that transcends language or conventional means. Another theory involves the idea of Earth energies or geological forces. Some believe that crop circles may be created by some natural force beneath the Earth's surface, like an underground magnetic field or an energy source emanating from certain geographic locations. These formations could be signs of energetic disturbances in the Earth's crust, which affect the crops growing on top of them. Some people even suggest that crop circles could be the result of ball lightning, a rare and unexplained electrical phenomenon that has been known to cause glowing orbs and strange energy discharges. While some have been exposed as hoaxes, the vast majority of these intricate designs continue to defy explanation. To this day, crop circles appear in the fields around the world, often in remote and rural locations. Whether they are the result of human pranksters, alien messages, or natural Earth energies, one thing is certain: crop circles remain one of the most perplexing and captivating mysteries in the world. Cattle mutilations are one of the most unnerving and mysterious phenomena in modern history, with reports stretching across decades and spanning multiple continents. The cases often involve livestock, primarily cows, being found dead under bizarre and grisly circumstances. The mutilated animals are discovered with specific body parts removed in a manner that seems almost surgical, with precision cuts that defy natural explanation. But perhaps the most chilling aspect is the complete lack of evidence or explanation for these gruesome deaths. The cattle mutilation phenomenon can be traced back to 1967 in Alamosa, Colorado, where a farmer found one of his cows dead in a field. The animal's body had been mutilated in a way that no predator or scavenger could have done. Its eyes, ears, tongue, and sexual organs were removed, and the cuts made to the animal's body were precise and clean. There were no signs of struggle, no blood around the carcass, and most disturbingly, there were no footprints or signs of human activity in the area. The mystery surrounding the mutilation was profound, leaving the local community both shocked and confused. Soon after, more cases began to surface in Colorado, then in other states, and eventually across the globe. In each case, the animals seemed to be killed in an eerily similar manner. The most common areas targeted were the eyes, ears, genitals, and anuses of the cows. Often, the mutilations were so precise that it looked as if the organs had been removed with surgical tools. There was no blood found at the site, and the bodies often appeared to be completely drained of fluids, as though they had been vacuumed clean. Some bodies were even found to be dehydrated, as if the blood had been removed by some unknown force. The pattern was so consistent that ranchers and farmers began to suspect that there was something more sinister at play. Many began to rule out natural causes such as animal attacks. After all, predators like coyotes, wolves, or even other livestock would have left signs of struggle. The lack of tracks or footprints around the mutilated bodies was especially perplexing. This led some to propose more extraordinary explanations, including the possibility of alien involvement, secret government experiments, or even ritualistic cult activity. One of the theories that quickly gained traction was the alien hypothesis. UFO enthusiasts and conspiracy theorists argued that the cattle mutilations were the work of extraterrestrial beings. The theory postulates that UFOs were abducting cattle to conduct experiments, removing organs for study, and perhaps even extracting DNA for unknown purposes. This theory was bolstered by reports of UFO sightings near areas where mutilated cattle were discovered. Some witnesses claimed to have seen strange lights in the sky on the nights following the mutilations. The timing of these reports, along with the inexplicable precision of the cuts on the cattle, led many to speculate that extraterrestrials were behind the gruesome deaths. Adding weight to the alien theory was the idea that the mutilations involved advanced technology. Some researchers noted that the cuts made to the animals' bodies were too clean and precise for conventional knives or blades. Some even suggested that the animals were being subjected to some form of laser-like technology, capable of cutting through flesh without leaving any noticeable burning or scarring. The idea of alien technology seemed to offer a possible explanation for the strange and unexplainable nature of the mutilations. Another theory that gained popularity in the 1980s was that ritualistic cults or satanic groups were involved in the mutilations. This theory suggested that these groups were performing dark rituals or sacrifices using livestock. The precision of the cuts and the removal of specific organs led some to believe that the mutilations were part of some occult practice, perhaps aimed at harvesting specific body parts for mystical or ritualistic purposes. In the 1980s, there were indeed reports of cult activity in rural areas, and the media often linked cattle mutilations to these groups. Yet despite the chilling nature of these theories, there has never been any definitive proof of alien involvement or cult activity. Investigations by law enforcement agencies and agricultural experts have come up with very little in terms of answers. Some experts have suggested that the mutilations could be the result of predators or even scavengers like vultures or other animals, though this seems unlikely given the precision of the cuts and the lack of tracks around the bodies. Others have argued that the removal of specific organs might be related to chemical contamination or biological agents, though this remains purely speculative. One theory that has gained traction in more recent years is that the mutilations could be the work of humans, perhaps even organized criminals. Some believe that there may be a black market trade in animal organs, especially from cattle, that could explain the bizarre removal of body parts. The idea is that human traffickers or rogue scientists could be performing the mutilations to harvest organs for illicit use, such as in medical experimentation or the illegal organ trade. This theory, while plausible, has yet to be proven, and many experts still question whether such a black market operation could operate undetected in rural areas. Even law enforcement and federal agencies, including the FBI, have been involved in investigating the cases of cattle mutilations. However, despite decades of investigation, no one has ever been able to definitively identify the perpetrators. Theories have ranged from natural phenomena, such as predatory animals or electromagnetic fields, to more outlandish possibilities like time travel or government cover-ups. Some reports suggest that the mutilations could even be linked to earthly phenomena. For example, some researchers have speculated that rare weather events like ball lightning could explain the burns and the precision of the cuts, though there is little scientific backing for this idea. As the years have gone by, the mystery of cattle mutilations has not been solved, and the strange phenomenon continues to persist. The sheer number of mutilations that have been reported worldwide suggests that this is not simply a case of isolated incidents. Whether the mutilations are the work of alien life, secret government experiments, or even human predators, the truth remains elusive. Human spontaneous combustion, HSC, is a bizarre and terrifying phenomenon in which a person allegedly bursts into flames without any external ignition source. For centuries, this strange occurrence has baffled scientists, investigators, and the general public alike. The term spontaneous combustion refers to a fire that seems to start by itself, with no apparent cause. In the case of HSC, it involves a person being consumed by flames with no visible cause or igniting agent, and often with inexplicable burns and bizarre patterns of damage to the body. The idea that someone can simply burst into flames without any obvious trigger is both captivating and horrifying. The first recorded case of HSC dates back to 1744 when Danish physician Thomas Bartholin wrote about a woman who died under mysterious circumstances. She was found burned to death, and the only sign of the fire was her body, completely reduced to ash, while the surrounding area was unscathed. Over time, there have been more cases reported, and many have followed similar patterns. The victims often have their bodies almost completely consumed by fire, leaving behind little more than ashes or fragments. The remains typically consist of a small pile of ashes and bone fragments, while surrounding furniture and the rest of the room are left largely untouched by fire. The victims of spontaneous combustion are typically found in close proximity to a heat source, though often no obvious source of ignition can be identified. In many cases, there is no sign of burning in the victim's clothes, and the fire appears to start at one specific part of the body, often the torso, and spreads upward. The most common feature is the complete incineration of the body, leaving only a portion of the victim's lower limbs or hands remaining. This peculiar pattern has led some to wonder whether there's a specific factor that causes people to combust without warning. One of the most famous and widely discussed cases of HSC occurred in 1951 in Florida, with the death of Mary Reeser. Mary, a 67-year-old widow, was found burned to death in her home under strange and unexplainable circumstances. Her body had been almost completely consumed by flames, yet the surrounding room, her furniture, and the carpet were untouched. There were no signs of the usual fire damage in the rest of the house, no burned curtains, no scorched walls. What remained of Mary was a pile of ashes, with only her lower leg and foot intact. The body had burned so thoroughly that even the bones had collapsed into ashes, but her foot, which was resting on a chair, remained mostly preserved. Even more curious was the fact that the temperature required to completely reduce a body to ash is far beyond what can be produced by typical household fires. Authorities initially believed it to be an accidental fire caused by a discarded cigarette, but there were several factors that suggested otherwise. The absence of any flammable material in the room, and the strange manner in which the body had burned, led many experts to conclude that something otherworldly might have been at work. Despite extensive investigations by law enforcement and forensic experts, no conclusive cause of the fire was ever found. Mary Reeser's case is only one of many that have left investigators stumped. In several other reported incidents, the victims were often elderly people living alone. Some researchers have pointed to a phenomenon known as the wick effect to explain the strange burning pattern. According to this theory, the human body, when ignited, can act like a candle wick. The body's fat content, when burned, serves as fuel for the fire, while the clothing acts as the wick. This could explain why the fire often appears to originate in one specific area of the body, and why the rest of the room remains largely unaffected. However, this theory fails to account for the total incineration of the body, or the eerie absence of an igniting agent. Some researchers argue that HSC could be linked to electromagnetic fields, radioactive exposure, or chemical reactions in the body. There are theories that certain chemicals or toxic substances, either ingested or produced within the body, could cause a person to spontaneously combust. Others suggest that certain physiological conditions, such as a combination of alcoholism or obesity, may contribute to making certain individuals more prone to these spontaneous events, although there is little scientific evidence to support this claim. Another theory that has been proposed is that static electricity or a sudden electrical discharge could be the cause of human combustion. This theory speculates that some combination of electrochemical reactions in the body might lead to a fire igniting from within, which would explain why the person burns from the inside out without any external ignition source. Some even speculate that certain extreme psychological stressors or psychological conditions could contribute to a chemical imbalance in the body that could spark a fire. However, there is no proven link between psychological or emotional distress and spontaneous combustion. Despite the various theories that have been put forth, no single cause has been universally accepted by the scientific community. While the wick effect theory remains one of the most popular explanations, the bizarre and unexplained nature of these cases suggests that there could be more at play, perhaps something not yet understood by modern science. The idea of a person suddenly bursting into flames without any logical or physical explanation leaves many wondering whether we are dealing with something beyond our current understanding of physics and biology. Could there be an unknown force or phenomenon that makes human spontaneous combustion possible? Or is there an undiscovered natural explanation yet to be uncovered? In addition to the scientific theories, many have looked to paranormal explanations to account for these mysterious deaths. Some believe that spontaneous combustion could be linked to the supernatural, with suggestions that the phenomenon could be a form of spiritual possession or a reaction to some otherworldly energy. Others have proposed that spontaneous combustion is linked to the existence of ghosts or spirits, suggesting that when the body is burned beyond recognition, it may be a physical manifestation of a spirit escaping or a cursed energy that erupts from within. Despite the many theories, human spontaneous combustion remains one of the most unsettling and perplexing phenomena in modern times. While some cases can be partially explained by the wick effect, many remain unsolved, with the victims' bodies incinerated in ways that defy any logical explanation. As scientists continue to study the phenomenon, it's possible that one day we will have an answer to this eerie mystery. Until then, the enigma of spontaneous combustion continues to be one of the most chilling and unexplained mysteries in the world. Thanks for watching, good nightmares and stay scared.